So, hey now, what's going on? Welcome to Brothers from the 818. It is Tuesday night. My name is Dave, as you know, and we are back for another exciting episode. Here tonight solo with my man 50 Grand. Caleb's in the house. What's going on with you?
Going on, Dave, man? I like how you bring us in, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. You know, I was thinking about how wonderful it was for us to have our children on last week, man. That was really a treat for me, and I know it was for you. I hope that they enjoyed it. I'm still waiting for them to let us know, man, how things are, right? What they thought about the podcast. What I've heard and what I've been talking about for the past week is how much I walked away, how much knowledge I walked away from sitting down with them, hearing their perspective, because they really did change the way that I looked at millennials and Generation Y.
Man, so two things. I second everything you said, but before we get too far, you let me down, man. I set you up, and you were supposed to come in with 91331.
Funny, man. I set the precedents, man, and you know we'll see who's really checking us out. Like we're gonna have some more guests on in the following weeks, the upcoming weeks. If they don't come in with it, then we just know that they're not regularly checking us out.
Right. Tell people to do their research before they come on or give us some real writers.
There you go.
But hey, like you said, it was a blessing to have the children on, man. And even when I rewatched it, I was just kind of blown away at the reveal. Like I didn't know, right? And even the way they put it out there, and people who I know hit me up. It's like, yo, the look on your face when Christopher said David kind of gave it away. I was like, I ain't used to my son calling me by my first name, man. That's rough. I really wanted to just reach through the be like, bro, have you lost all sensibility? But yo, so this week, you know, not even as a plan, I've just been having conversations with that younger generation on a different level.
Yes.
I feel like I've been having conversations with the intent on listening instead of the intent of teaching. Or imparting wisdom, you know, as we often in our generation at our age. I'm 361 days older than you, don't forget. But we often speak to the younger generation to impart wisdom, but sometimes we need to listen, man.
Yeah, man. I respect my elders, man. So, you know, I respect you, man. I love you. The thing that I walked away that kind of just stuck with me is what Christopher said. And he said, how do you expect me to act like an adult when you treat me like a child?
Yeah.
And that just kind of stuck with me all week. I think that they both did an excellent job of just educating us as to the differences in the between the different generations. But something else that they did is we didn't script it out. We just do what we do every week, man. We just have conversations, and it really was a surprise. When I say that I was pleasantly surprised and I didn't know what to expect, it's because we keep it raw, man, and I love that.
Yeah. Raw and real, man. And tonight, you know, we got some more raw and real. I hope you done your research this week. You know, I told you what you should do. So I'm going to be hitting you up for something towards the end. You know it's coming. And if you haven't, you got about 65 minutes to come. So let's get into it, man. Every morning, at least Monday through Friday, I start my day off with what I call morning morsels. You know that. And it's just me, and whatever God shares with me, I share with the people. And it's just three to 5 minutes. I think my max was 7. I was like, ain't nobody gonna listen to this. But I always started out with morning people, what's going on? So, you know, let's talk about the 4th, man. And tell me what's going on. How was your 4th?
My 4th was great, man. I was off. You know, I'm a county employee, so I was off on Friday. I was off.
It was a Saturday. You're supposed to be off.
Sunday. I was off. And so my 4th was wonderful, man. The plan was just for us to hang out. My sister-in-law, she drove down and she brought her children, and we just kind of hung out, and it was great. We went to some neighbors. Right, without my being real respectful of COVID, we have a small group of neighbors that might hang out, right? And I'm talking small group, like 3 families, my family and 2 others, right? And so we might hang out with our children. We went down there, barbecued, and jumped in the pool, being really conscious about, COVID and keeping our distance and being respectful for social distancing. But it was chill, man. I had a great time. How about yourself?
Likewise, I went over my girl's friend's house. Not my girlfriend's house. I went over my girl's friend's house.
Yeah.
And
I understand Ebonics, man. I know what you're talking about.
All right, fair enough. You ain't the only one listening right now. So, but no, I went over there. I said, well, how many people gonna be there? She said, like 11 or 12 max. And I'm already like, I don't know. That's a lot of folk, but all right, let's do it. And I got there and it was like 11, 12 people. By the time I left, it was like 40 people, dude.
Wow.
And they had it's a huge backyard. They had a pool. So
you guys are in violation, man.
Yeah, man. Exactly. I was waiting for the cops to roll up, but they was too busy dealing with the illegal fireworks. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we had a great time, man. The boys hung out. I hung out. Got to play some spades. What I realized, I don't even remember the last time me and you got down to some spades. What I do know is that we got down the last time and we ran that table because, that's what we do. But I always find, well, I won't say always, I don't play that often, but the cat I was over there with, or one of the cats that was there, we was talking about playing spades. He was like, we gonna get this spades game going or what? He's like, because, I'm kind of untouchable. And so I looked at him, I was like, man, you don't even know me. And how you just gonna come at me like that? He's like, how am I coming at you? It's like, you just claim to be untouchable in a house that I already own, And so we're going back and forth. Me and him ended up being partners.
Oh yeah, y'all was untouchable.
Yeah, we was untouchable. I mean, it's like, if you can play and somebody else can play, then you can get the vibe going real cool. But I wonder, man, I think we're gonna have to get somewhere and me and you against 2 other people who know each other and play the game well and see what's up, because I'm untouchable, man. Spades is my game.
I'm bringing it to the podcast, man. If someone wants to get down with us on spades, man, let us know.
Let us know. We'll figure it out. We'll do a social distancing game with some long sticks or something and get down. See what's happening. So no, that was cool. Good food, good eats. We had a couple different specialty drinks going around. So people had a real good time. I was there till probably 10:30, 11 o'clock. Just vibing and chilling, keeping my distance and calling it a day. Got into a real interesting conversation there. And I kind of want to throw that at you. We're just going to call this one the What's Going On episode, or Hot Topics, or, whatever else you want to do. But we got into a discussion. Somebody came in there and they had their Juneteenth t-shirt on. And I was like, that's a fat shirt. I like that. He says, what you know about Juneteenth? Here celebrating, the 4th of July. I was like, you here too, celebrating the 4th of July. I said, I'll tell you what I know about Juneteenth. And this is where we're going to lose a few subscribers, man. I said, July 4th is a farce as far as people of color. You know that. I was like, but if we're going to fire up some ribs and some burgers and throw back some drinks and celebrate and chill, I'm down to do that, right? Ain't no big deal. I said, and Juneteenth is a farce too. Now, when I said that, the whole room got quiet, like EF just spoke, right?
I can imagine like the needle came off the record. People don't know about that, right?
It's great. People turned around, they looked, it was like, what'd you say? And I'm bold. I was like, Juneteenth was a farce too. And they said, do you know what happened on Juneteenth? I said, do you? Right? And they said, all slaves were freed. I was like, well, no, that actually happened with the Emancipation Proclamation. I said, Juneteenth was actually the day that the slaves in Galveston, Texas were notified that, hey, y'all are actually free. And so he looked at me, he's like, why is that a farce? I said, because that was 1865. I was like, ask brothers in 1877 how free they felt. What about 1890? What about 1990? I said, what about 1964? What about 1965? Ask Emmett Till how free he felt, right? And so now it went too deep, right? And people are like, oh man, you going there. I was like, you the one that started with me. And I was trying to have a good time with it. And I said the same thing. I was like, look, man, if you want to throw a barbecue on Juneteenth, on June 19th, on any day, and invite me, I'll come through. I'll bring some drink. I'll eat your food. If you want to do it at my house, we could do it there too. I'm down to celebrate because, you know, it's something worth celebrating. But did it mean much? I was like, it was a symbol. I was like, and that symbol didn't really move the needle all that much for our people. I was like, and if you don't believe that, go to the South and ask them through the generations how free they felt. Right. Same with July 4th. July 4th is a celebration of America's independence from Britain. And what did that do for our people? Right. And I say, so it's all a farce. I said, I almost look at it like a non-Christian celebrating Christmas. Right. You want to get down, you want to have a good time, you want to open your gifts, you want to celebrate the day. But Christmas is a spiritual holiday. I'll even go as far as to say religious holiday. And it's really about the celebration of the birth of Christ, which didn't happen during the Christmas season either. But I don't want to turn this into a conspiracy night. But, if you can celebrate something and not be completely bought in. I'm a believer. I believe in Christ. I'm not saying I'm like that. But anyway, after that, the conversation kind of doled out. People was like, all right, we're going to go eat some more barbecue. We'll catch you later. And every time I saw him, he was sitting like this, covering up his shirt. So it's all good, man. Don't even trip.
Hey, man, you should have told me to bring some popcorn tonight, man. That's great, man. I do believe that the symbolism that is associated with Juneteenth and the 4th of July, but it is definitely the symbolism that is driving those celebrations. And like you said, if you could get together and think about what it means for slaves to be free, what it means to be free from, and that might even be too deep. I'm going to say be free from the Britain's rule, right? I didn't live at that time, and so it's you have to be like want to know your history, not a historian, but you have to want to know your history to understand, to gain better understanding as to why we celebrate those things. And you and I have something very symbolic that we celebrate. We celebrate the from August 9th to August 13th, right?
That's right.
Because at those 4 days, you and I are the same age for that year.
Right.
But it's symbolic, man. I'm glad that you were able to educate a couple folks, and hopefully they went home and they thought about it a little bit deeper, because people will throw on any shirt, man. People will throw on a shirt in a minute and don't even question. I think that a couple weeks ago we were talking about Pancho Villa, right? And I was wearing a Pancho Villa shirt, and people were questioning me like, "Why are you repping him? He wasn't about his people." Well, he was about his people. He was just he was just slaying some folks while he was trying to free his people.
Right.
And he went about it his own way.
Right.
In your conversation, did he receive it? Was he just so stuck on his position that he wasn't open to gaining that insight that you were sharing?
I won't say he received it. I think once he saw where I was going with it, he became a peacekeeper, and he started backpedaling a little bit because I went there, and not in an anger way, but he's like, "Do you know what Juneteenth means?" I'm like, "Do you?" And so it became, again, we talked about earlier, from a moment of listening to a moment of education. I stopped listening. I was like, I need to educate you, because again, you're holding on to this like that shirt means something, and you don't know what that shirt means. And not that it means something bad, but you sit there and say, well, that's when all the slaves were freed. Well, it's not, but you're close, and I understand why you celebrate it, and that's cool, but I wanted to just offer my opinion, and it went there. So, and we each just really just shut it down really quick, because it didn't get loud or ugly, but there was nothing to gain in the conversation other than debate in the middle of a party. And
right.
so I backed off of it. I reminded, and I showed him later, I said, "Have you ever seen this picture?" And I showed it to him. It's a picture of a fist with like a red, black, and green flag in the colors. And it says Juneteenth, free-ish since 1865.
Right.
I was like, this is a good representation of what Juneteenth means to me, right? It set some wheels in motion that got us to this point today. I was like, but a lot of people of color lost their lives between 1865 and about 2020, right? Dealing with issues where we're not quite free.
We could talk about freedom and what that means, and the symbolism behind that as well, because there's a lot of people that don't feel like we've come very far. I mean, we're no longer slaves for sure, but equality is definitely not where I would argue, or anyone could argue, that we're at in this country. So man, thank you for sharing that, man. I really did appreciate the education that you provided. Hopefully our viewers and that gentleman that you spoke with. But you were in violation, man. You said that there were 40 people and COVID is still jumping off.
There was. And here's my admission, confession. I'm part of the problem, dude. In March, when all this jumped off, I was the first one. I'm jumping right into isolation. It's me and my two, and we're going to be cool, and we're not going to get sick because we're not going to be around nobody, and blah, 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 blah. And over time, whether it's complacency or you're reading the news and things aren't as bad, I'm still not heading to the beaches. I'm still not going to restaurants. I'm still not putting myself in open areas. But the 11, I was willing to take that chance, right? And I probably just shouldn't have. And as I noticed that people were increasing, I probably should have bounced. But it's that laxed mentality that has cases spiking all across the country right now. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of nerve-wracking, man, when you think about it, because in March, they were talking about come April, we could be a desolate society. Grocery stores will be empty. Social structures are shut down. Mayhem and madness will encompass the entire world. And it kind of did, but not because of COVID, right? That was another situation. But we got through that, and I think we started to relax, right? And people bombarding the beaches and having parties anyway. There's a politician who was saying just last week, I don't think of, I think the necessity of masks is overrated. And 3 days later, he got COVID, right? He tested positive, and now he's dealing with his thing, right? And it reminds me of that basketball player back in March, started licking the mics and all that, talking about this ain't nothing. And then he got jacked up, right? Yeah. And so you start taking it lightly, and then all of a sudden you're trying to sleep with a 200-pound weight on your chest because you can't breathe, right?
I think that the same thing goes as that people that are not, that COVID has not impacted directly, kind of think it's like a conspiracy theory, kind of think that it's like a gimmick or something, right? I know that Texas and Florida, they were allowing people to wild out, man. They were allowing people to live however they want, and then the numbers started to spike, and the numbers started to grow, and hospital beds started to fill up, and now even those two states, those governors are kind of eating their own words, man, because their citizens are at risk and at a higher risk because they didn't succumb to some of the restrictions and the regulations that a lot of the other states did. And here we are in California. I think that our Governor Newsom, did a very good job of trying to keep the numbers down, and here we are spiking again. I think that we have mixed messages also. I mean, our politicians in Washington, D.C. Are sending mixed messages, and it really complicates things. Something that I continue to hear from the medical field and medical professionals is that, you gain your freedom when we are able to flatline COVID to a point where we don't have to be concerned about it coming back. My concern, as I continue to see postings from my agency, is that 1 week they'll say, okay, well, we're going to open up in 30 days. And then that 30 days get pushed, and that 30 days get pushed, and that 30 days get pushed. And I think that our society as a whole, people are kind of anxious and they want a sense of normalcy. But what I would say to them is just kind of cool out, just hang out a little bit, and let the medical professionals and those that are governing our states and our cities to make the best decisions with the information that they have. And I don't believe that citizens should be trying to take it on themselves or bucking the system and just saying, I'm not going to wear it. I don't know how often you go shopping and you are in the community, man. I go to Target, I'll go to Walmart, I'll go to those places, and people at Home Depot, people are wearing masks because they have to, but they're still wearing it over their lips. They're still wearing it at their chin, right? And that's not doing a service to help reduce the spread of COVID either.
Not even a little bit. Like you, I go to places when I need to. I don't just go to the stores just because, but anytime I'm inside of a store, I got gloves and mask on. And what I found myself doing, like when I go grocery shopping, I usually hit 3 stores. I was swapping gloves in between each store. But I was like, forget that. I just get in the car and put my hand sanitizer on the gloves and take that to the next spot and the next, and then I throw them out after store 3 because I was running through gloves like it was the thing to do. But yeah, man, even, in my office, I finally, we've issued some orders about, people are coming back to work and here's the rule and this is what it is. And so what I've told all my employees, because the ones that are in my office they're in cubicles, but they're social distance cubicles. They're naturally 8 to 12 feet apart anyway. While you're sitting at your desk, you can, if you don't want to mask up, don't. If you're in your office by yourself and you don't want to mask up, don't. As soon as you get out of your chair to move around, whether it's to go to the bathroom, the kitchen, go to somebody else's desk, you have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of that, now you're crossing into general platforms, general areas, and you got to protect yourself. And then there's the argument, do the mask really help? I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. What I do know is if somebody is right next to me and they cough or sneeze and they got a mask on, I feel a whole lot better than if they didn't. Right?
Let me say something to that, Dave. Do the mask help? There's been a lot of studies, and you could go ahead and not you, but anybody that want to figure out whether or not the mask help, just go ahead and Google it. And there's a lot of studies that are showing the spread of a sneeze and how a mask reduce it. And we're spoiled, man. Americans are spoiled, and we feel entitled to kind of say, you're not going to restrict us. You can't walk down the street butt naked, right? Right? You can't go into your local restaurant without a t-shirt, right? And so if our officials, our government and our leaders, our mayors are saying that a mask is required, then just follow the rules, man. I don't understand why you have to, or everyone have to be so entitled and want to say, well, I'm going to do it my way. Because as we could see, people doing it their way, Arizona, Texas, Florida, right? These states that didn't have the same restrictions, we could see the impact of those decisions now.
True that. I'm going to say something. You mentioned that we're following the order of our leaders and making sure that we, Governor Newsom has his Wear a Mask campaign. I don't think I've ever said these words. So right here on Brothers from 818, you're going to hear it. I am a fan of our governor, man. I'm a Gavin Newsom fan. If I was to be somewhere and he was there, I would extend him a social distance elbow. I'd be like, what's going on with you, man? Because I feel he's doing a hard job, but I like the decisions that he's made. And I like how he's even, I think Trump at some point said that he was going to make the governors do this, that, and the other. And he was like, he didn't even go negative with it. He was like, I don't think that's his job. That's my job. And this is what we're going to do. and here's the order for the state. And, you know, although California's numbers are second in the country, man, we got over 275,000 active cases of infections by COVID-19. California's a big old state. And I think, you know, the restrictions that he's put in has stopped it from being 750,000 or even a million, right? And so I'm a big Governor Newsom fan.
Well, you're in the OC, and you know that the OC functions a little different than Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
Los Angeles didn't. Los Angeles shut down their beaches and was quick to shut down a lot of stuff. And in the OC, I think your beaches were left open and untouched for a while. I don't know if you guys ever shut them down completely. But, you know, people cross county lines. This is just as they cross city lines. And it's hard to restrict people, especially when you have people wearing masks around their chins, you know, because that's just again, symbolic of trying to, of being obedient to the COVID-19 restrictions and laws that are in place, but it's not really to the letter of the governor's order.
Right. Yeah, and you got rogue activity happening everywhere. I mean, you know, I think we shut down our beaches a little late, and then what was the holiday that came up? Was it Labor Day?
I think it was Memorial Day, or
which one's first? I don't know. Whichever one passed first. Whichever one passed already, because the other one's coming up in the end of August. But people's like, we're going to the beach anyway, and you're not going to stop us. And I was like, wow, right? But you look at the news, and you got, you know, 50 police officers showing up and 5,000 people out there, right? And so they're like, okay, you know, we just have to kind of stand back and see. But again, every time it happened, you know, the cases start spiking and so forth. So, you know, my public service message is right where you were going before, that, you know, be careful, be cautious, you know, and if you find yourself in a situation that's getting out of control, you're in control. And you can make the decision to leave, to go do what you do. And if you have children or anybody, I mean, if you have a family, period, remember, you know, everyone you come in contact with, you bring that to them when you come.
Right.
And if they're worth anything to you, if you value them and value that protection, I mean, the last thing I want is one of my children or anyone really, but I don't want any of my children to come down with it. And I know that it was because I was lax on some of the things I should have been doing.
And I'm hearing people over and over again express, just like us, that, hey, we're ready for our new normal. We're ready for a sense of normalcy. We're ready for things to open back up. But I don't, here's my PSA. I don't think that we're going to be able to do it until everyone buys in and take COVID seriously. Right. Follow the rules. Let's bring down the numbers. Let's slow down the spread, and then we'll be able to open up. And that's when the freedom is going to really set in for us, because we feel restricted right now. Well, the only way we're not be restricted is if things get, if our cities, our states, and our country get healthier. And the medical field globally. The medical field, I don't know about the politicians, but the medical field globally are saying, you know, wearing a mask will significantly help reduce the spread of COVID-19.
Exactly. And that's the key. So, you know, well said. But as you said, our effort is to significantly reduce the spread. And, you know, and that's real. So I love that. And you know, the bottom line is I got to follow my own advice, because Lord knows when that 13th person showed up, I was looking around like, maybe I should go.
Hey man, that barbecue and those drinks was good, man. I understand.
It was good. That's the way it happened. So, speaking of all that, we're going, you know, again, like I said, this is just what's going on. I think it was the 4th, and I want to read it to you because I'm still laughing. There was a tweet about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that on the 4th. And it says, we must now realize the promise of America by trusting God. Okay. I'm with that. I got no issue there. Unifying our vision and building our future. Okay, still cool. I am running for president of the United States. Hashtag 2020 vision. Kanye West. What the French, Toast? What's going on with that? Kanye wants to run for president.
Let me breathe a little bit, man. I told myself I wasn't going to drink on the show, man. I told myself I wasn't going to drink on the show. I have a couple thoughts regarding Kanye, man. I think, first of all, before I can get to Kanye, I have to go back to Donald Trump, our president. I think if people watch Brothers from 818 enough, they'll realize that Caleb is not a Trump supporter. But I don't think I've ever gone out.
How you said that, man? That make it seem like I am. In the proverbial we.
No, man, that's not what I'm saying, man. That's not what I'm saying. You're a little too sensitive. What I'm saying is they could read into it, but I haven't gone out my way to really bash Trump. That's not what we're about, right? But I might do it tonight. I think with regard to Kanye, I think Donald Trump has made a mockery out of the presidency, right? I think that the president, the Oval Office and the president's seat should not be a popularity contest. I think that what we should have in the White House is we should have scholars and educators. We should have leaders, and we should have community activists. We should have politicians that have kind of learned the way of the grassroots and policy making, right? I don't have a problem with their average citizen running for president, right? But there is a level of expectation that I have if you're going to sit in one of those seats, right? I think that you should have a good, and probably better than our current president. I think that you probably should be well-read. I think that you should have a good understanding of policy, or just let's go geography for our president, right? I think that you should have a good understanding of economics and what leadership looks like. And now bringing it back to Kanye, I don't know if Kanye is a very good leader. I don't know him well enough. This announcement to run for president feels kind of like Donald Trump in 2016 when Donald said, "I'm going to run," and then people were like, "Oh, you ain't gonna run," and then he started running, and people started falling behind him. All right. I think that it is we need fresh blood. We certainly need fresh blood. You'll hear me talk about reform and policy changing, and I think that we need to reform a lot of our sectors in our country. Right? I think we need term limits on how long our politicians could sit in that seat. I don't want a politician sitting there, a career politician sitting in that seat for 30 years, right? I think that we need to figure out some appropriate term limits so we could have some turnover and some fresh blood. Those career politicians, they have people in their pocket, and they become servants of the help me out, Dave.
Lobbyists.
Of the lobbyists in Washington, D.C., right? And I think that if we had new blood in some of those seats, at least maybe we'll get some new lobbyists, or maybe we'll have some people turning it down and say, no, I'm not going to take your money. I don't need your money to get reelected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work for the people, right? And because I'm doing good things by the people, my community, they're going to elect me because that is the reason why I was elected in the first place. All right, man, I'll be quiet and hear you talk about Kanye.
I don't know if I could just do it justice with Kanye. I think your point was well made that, when you get to that seat, there's a responsibility and accountability that's, far beyond you. The president should be a shining example of leadership, right? And I think we can all agree that, Trump has not shown any level of leadership, at least in the formal definition of what leadership means. He's the first president we've had that did not have any military experience nor any political experience, right? And I look at it almost to the degree, although maybe worse because it's the president, but you look at like California in 2003, we elected Arnold Schwarzenegger as the governor.
Yeah.
Right? And then 4 years later, he got reelected. So, he served 8 years during his 2 terms. And
Popularity contest,
but still won. And was governor of California during some really tough times. Now, honestly, I don't know how well he did as a governor. I don't know whether he sent the state down the hole or helped us ride out a wave. I'm honestly not sure. But what I am saying is, political experience matters. You have to know how to navigate those waters. You have to understand leadership. And if it's a stepping stone only to get to the next step, then it's not worth it. It's not worth it for the people you serve. Now, the stepping stone isn't bad. I mean, aldermen become, congressmen. Congressmen become, Senate holders, or they go to the state council or whatever, they become part of the Senate. Then you go into the House, and then you can work your way up as a career politician and do well, right? So you talked about the term limits. The problem is it's not across the board, right? Governors can only do 2 terms. Presidents can only do 2 terms. A senator, you could be a senator for life, right? Because that's the way it is. And then the point is, how many people with education vote for their senator versus, well, this is the person who's in there and we're just going to keep them in there, right? Or your council person or whatever. Vince McMahon, he's another one, right? Just, a person who had some street credit, some popularity.
But he was a businessman. At least he was a businessman.
So is Trump.
Yeah.
Right? And regardless of how he made his money, he was successful at it, right? And them billions didn't make themselves. I mean, I think he started off with a measly $5 million loan from his grandfather. So I don't know what it was, but running a country and running a business is not the same. And there's some pieces and some roles that you have to play. And what I fear, and not from I'm sitting back shivering, but what I'm anxious about is, has the leadership of this country been watered down to the point where we're no longer taken seriously?
Hey man, I'm often fall into this conversation, man. This is not the first time. Kanye is new, right? But this is not the first time I've had this conversation. I often ask other people, is this the best that our country has to offer, right? I don't have a problem with Vince McMahon or Donald Trump, a businessman running for president, but there needs to be other expectations placed on them if they're going to run, right? You don't have to be a career politician, or you don't have to work your way from the Senate to, from your local government to the state government to Washington D.C. I'm not saying that. I was a fan of Scarface, and Scarface was running for a seat in Houston, and I thought that was fresh, but I'm biased because I'm a Scarface fan. But I know that he also is well read, right? He is viewed as a voice for the people, right? And he is someone that was talking about change. And so I don't feel like you have to necessarily be a politician or a lawyer or a judge, but there is those expectations that you will conduct yourself You will conduct yourself as a leader. You will be an advocate for those that are in your city or in your state. You will be a voice for them, and that you will carry out your duties, whether it's a senator or a president. You'll carry out your duties thinking of all of those people that you represent.
Right.
And so those are some basic expectations. And by the way, before I go back to you, doesn't Kanye West have some mental health issues, man? I mean, if we're gonna keep it real, I mean, there's a lot of mental health concerns that is surrounding Kanye West, and I'm not up on it, but I've heard it, right? But I don't follow Kanye mental health concerns that closely, but I think that there's something there, and if we are electing politicians, I would at least hope that they don't have that any mental health concerns that they have is being addressed, and that there's a plan in place for them to continue to address it. I'm not saying if you've ever got depressed and you need a therapist that would eliminate you a shot at a high level seat in the government, but I'm thinking like Kanye had some issues recently, man.
Yeah.
So and people are questioning the health of our current president as well, and those things should be considered when you are going to the booth and electing your next politician to represent you in your city.
Right. Now, what I will say is career politicians have to get started somewhere. So Brad Jordan running in Houston because he doesn't like the conditions of his community. He cares about his community. He has some ideas and some thoughts, and he wants to put them into action. And he wants to run to be. And what was it? It wasn't a congressman. It was.
It was like a local. We have like a board of supervisors. It's kind of like a lower level position. Right. Yeah.
So I think that's what you need. You need fresh faces to start off there. Now, if he did 2 years there, made some inroads and said, hey, I could take a shot at governor, and, did another 4 years there and made some inroads. And then
there you go.
I can take this to the Senate, and did 6 years there, 8 years there, and made some inroads. Now you're building a career as a politician and getting past, well, this guy used to just be a rapper.
Right.
Now the next 15 years of his life have been in politics, and he's made some change. He's done things that are quantifiable, and you can see the difference that has been made by his presence. And he said, now I want to run for president. Again, now you at least got to give him a fighting chance. Be like, okay, can you take what you've done on a small scale and run a country with it? Right. And we've seen many governors and so forth be elected through the process just based on that. But again, I go back to where I started. It makes me sad for the state of the country because, as you said, is this the best we got? As far as Kanye goes, he's just talking, man. I mean, we're the election's in 4 months, and there's a whole lot that needs to happen just to get on the ticket, right? I mean, he's already missed becoming the Democratic or the Republican candidate, right? At best, he could divide the vote, and he can definitely afford the fee to do it, but there's so many filings and everything that needs to happen. I just think he's just jaw-jacking. And he's said it. He said in 2016 he was going to run in 2020, and then I think in 2018 he said I'm going to run in 2024. And I think it was just him being patriotic on July 4th and announcing. But it didn't help that what's his wife's name? Kim Kardashian retweeted to her 198 billion followers that this is what Kanye's doing. And then I saw some
a mockery, man, popularity contest. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I saw some entertainers coming back saying, well, hell, if you're gonna run, I'm gonna run too. And just if we just gonna if this has become the mockery, then let's just keep it going. And then I want to say it was, what's her name? Spencer, Octavia Spencer. She was like, you're making a mockery. You just need to sit down somewhere.
Oh.
And I was like, thank you. Let's just stop this argument. And I feel like, honestly, the brothers from 818 have given it too much time. I'm glad that we really focused the conversation on the political state in general, although
Yeah.
it was the sperm. Here's my question though, and let's just throw this one at you, or I'll take it, whoever. What do you think about Biden, man?
Um, is this the best? I mean, come on now. If I'm gonna keep it real, if we're gonna keep it real, is this the best that we can put forth for our country? I don't know. I don't think that he is. But if you're asking me, what about Biden against versus Donald Trump, or in comparison to Donald Trump? I don't think that. I mean, Kanye might be better than Donald Trump, man. To be honest with you, I don't know, but he might be better than Donald Trump. So is Biden the best thing that we have to offer in contrary or in contrast to Donald Trump? No, it can't be. Our country has to be better than that. We have military officials and military leaders, and we have other community activists. We have educators and scholars and scientists that we could that could be in office, right? But the problem is, it's become so watered down that you almost have to be a politician or now a celebrity in order to talk about running. I know you were talking about Biden, but I want to just go back to Kanye West just one more time and just say, the reason why I said mockery is because you don't even have to put any effort in anymore, right? You could just go from I think I joked. I think I joked about a couple weeks back that we could have Jeff Bezos run for president because he has all the money. Maybe he could get us out of our debt. But you don't have to have any substance in order to sit in that seat. But my expectation is that the leaders of this free world would have some substance. My expectation is that they will have some resume that will make them suitable to make decisions for these millions and millions of Americans, and then the other people that are impacted by decisions that America make, right? And so, in regards to Biden, I think that Biden is a good option for us. I think he's a good option for us because I think that Donald Trump, I think he's shooting himself in his own, and he's fallen on his own sword because he can't get away from his divisive nature. And in 2020, after it's looking at it for more than 3.5 years, people are sick and tired of how racial and how divisive, and the fact that the man could come out and say something and then his spokesperson could come out and say, well, you're taking it out of context. No, it is in context. I'm almost quoting him word for word, and you can't just say, oh, he was just joking, he didn't mean that. You can't hold him to that because he sent the tweet at 2:00 in the morning. No, I'm holding him to all of it. And I challenge all of our viewers. I challenge all of my friends to pause before they select, before they make their next vote. Now, and I'll finish my thought on this political discussion with this. I have a coworker who told me that I think I'm going to vote you, Caleb, for president in 2020. And I said, man, don't joke with me. I don't want this. We can't play these games. I don't want to joke. I don't think that's funny, right? We saw what happened in 2016. It's not funny. Don't be voting in or writing people in. Either vote for Donald Trump or vote for Joe Biden, because you know whoever else you vote for is not going to get elected. And if you don't like Donald Trump, if you want to see our country go back or go in a different direction, then don't vote for him. If you like where our country is right now, then okay, I as a patriot, I support that. Go ahead and vote for Donald Trump. Right. But don't play those other games and not go out and vote. Don't play those other games and and write your friend David Smith in for president or Kanye West for president. Those are empty votes. And our 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 democracy as Americans deserve people to go out there and take their right seriously, right? And so I'll get off my soapbox with that, brother.
Man, that's a hell of a soapbox. I'm gonna give you some on that, and that's the real of it. That get out there, you know, if you're angry about what it is, use your vote to change it, not waste it because you're doing a write-in or splitting the vote or whatever. Put it somewhere where it's actually going to do some good, and then watch the miracle of the democratic system happen. People complain about the democratic system, you know, like you, I feel like, is Joe Biden the best we got? Is that really representative of what we're going as a nation? You do a better job, I feel, than Trump, but you know, you got to do something real with it, and thus ended the lesson. We're gonna move on from that. Last area I want to get to. I'm watching the time click away. July 3rd, so this past Friday, Disney, as a streaming service, released Hamilton.
Yeah.
So it was originally scheduled to be a movie theater release, right? So this was part of their plan. It didn't happen because of obvious reasons, and they released it on their streaming service. Shot their profits through the roof. They had over 700,000 downloads of their streaming service worldwide, just over 450,000 in the United States. And that just accounts for people who downloaded the app on their phone. That doesn't include people who have smart TVs and things along those lines. Disney also 2 weeks ago ended their free trial. They did have a 7-day sign up. You can sign up for 7 days for free and then decide if you want to keep it. So in advance of them releasing Hamilton, all of those new accounts came at, you know, matinee movie ticket prices. I'll just say that. And so Disney's raking in money head over heels or head over fist or whatever, hands over fist, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So 2 questions on that. One, we'll get to Disney in a minute. Let's talk about Hamilton. What do you think as a production?
Well, I saw Hamilton at the Pantages Theater 2 years ago. By far, the best show concert I have ever sat in, right? And I'm talking about Jay-Z, right? I'm talking about Scarface. I'm talking about Beyonce. I'm talking about Sade and Jill Scott. I'm talking about Run DMC and the Beastie Boys at the Palladium, man. I'm talking about summer jams and every other concert and theater play that I went to, right? And my wife and I, we've had Pantages season tickets for about 3 years, 4 years straight. And so I saw a lot of shows, man. By far, Hamilton is the best one, hands down. Nothing even comes close to him. And I love me some Sade and some Scarface, man. And so that's saying a whole bunch. So what's your next question about Hamilton?
Let me just say this. I'm feeling you on most of that, but man, I saw Jill Scott at the House of Blues back in 2001, and she sang to me directly, man. And in my heart, we've been dating for about 20 years.
Man, I heard you say that before, man, about Jill Scott. Jill Scott wasn't singing to you, man. She was just singing.
To me. She was singing to me, man. She looked at me in my eyes from 75 yards away, and we connected on a spiritual level, man. So, you know, Jill Scott, wherever you at. Anyway, like I said, in my mind, we've been dating for a while. Anyway, no, I found it to be phenomenal, especially for a person. I'm not anti this country. I love America. I love being an American. But, you know, that time period and the folks we were celebrating, you know, they owned slaves and there was a bunch of lies and the founding fathers were founding liars. and the documents that they put together didn't include people who look like you and me, and all of that. And so I look at that time period and I go, yeah. But Hamilton as a production, phenomenal. I was like, man, from the opening scene to the closing, I was just floored with the singing, the charisma, the stage presence, how they took a historical period that I could just really shrug my shoulders at and taught me something, right? And I don't even know if taught me something is the right word. It just engaged me to the point where I was eager to see what was going to happen next. And so I really felt it. But here's the thing with Hamilton, and this is all in the news. Like I said, we're talking about what's going on. When Hamilton was released, 2015, does that sound right?
All right, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, we're going to go with that. When Hamilton was released 2015, we're coming to a close of the Obama era. We're still in that, legacy of hope, of change. They brought this musical to life. It was, what's his name? Lin-Manuel
Yeah.
Miranda. He said, it's the story of America then told by America now. And, so the hip hop, the R&B, the references, the like I said, the charisma, the stage presence, all that was so phenomenal and so appropriate for the time it was released. And I'm speaking slow quite intentionally because I want to make that point that it spoke to a people who were really looking at the country as going a different direction. And just, wow, this is, and look at how we're even telling the history of America. And so then Disney goes and releases it the day before the 4th of July in a period of civil unrest, unlike any we've seen in the last 55 years, right? And people have a different reaction, right? Now, the presence of the production was wonderful. I loved it as a show. But people have a different reaction. They look at it and say, these people own slaves. The fact that you had so many different, it was a cast of mostly Hispanic and Black people, right? The fact that you had people playing the characters who weren't, it doesn't even fit, is cultural appropriation at best, right? And it was just insensitive for the time. Now we're in a culture of, historical statues, Ulysses S. Grant, Jefferson. The family of Jefferson now says they want the Jefferson Monument taken down in Washington, D.C. And all of this stuff that's going around where we're trying to right the wrongs of a country. Farce, by the way, and we don't have time to get into that. But they're taking away Aunt Jemima's pancakes, man. I'm like, that's like a story.
Come on, man. Let's get into it, man.
Stay focused. But I look at it and I don't know how I feel about it, because to me, it's entertainment. And as entertainment, I was like, this is all right. I and more than all right. I truly enjoyed it to the point where it was 2 hours and 50 minutes or something. I'm happy to watch it again. Right. And go from there. So, that's, what do you think about all that? Just the time frame and what people are saying.
I think that there's a couple of things, man. I think that that Disney is in business to make money, first of all, right? And no one got mad when Disney bought up The Simpsons, and no one got mad when Disney bought up ESPN, and they're in the business of making money, right? And so if you thought that Disney wasn't going to make money, would turn down an opportunity to make money, then you don't understand business, right? As far as Disney, I think it's a good investment. I think regards to how it was written, and I don't want to do his name I don't want to badger his name any worse than you did already, right? So, but it was so brilliant, not just how it was written, because it brought politics and history and culture, hip hop culture, onto the stage, and it was colliding, right? And the fact that they did that, and then they flipped it and just said, we don't care the skin color or who's playing who, right? We just want to put on a good show. I think that made it even more interesting. Now, let me just tell you this. This is the most popular, best-selling Broadway show of all times, right? So if people are taking issue with it, they should have took issue with it when it first came out. I mean, we had presidents trying to get seats, right? As I said, my wife and I, we had season tickets, right? We had an opportunity to sell our tickets for 3 times the value of the tickets, right? But we knew that there was something about Hamilton that we wanted to see, and I thank God that we did not. I thank God that we did not sell those tickets, man, because like I said, it's the best thing that I've ever seen live. And so in regards to the production of it and how well it's written and how much money is made before Disney, it was making money before Disney. So and Disney is in the business to make money. And if people are going to be up in arms about how Hamilton or how Disney took Hamilton and made more money, or is manipulating the system by or the Disney Plus platform by taking down the 6 month free or whatever, right? That's business, right? And if you're up in arms because of how it was written, well, you should have been up in arms when it was selling out in every city in America, because it sold out in every city in America. Yeah.
I agree. I understand the time piece, that the world was in a different state in 2015 than it is in 2020. It's still entertainment, right? And there's some stuff out there that's entertainment that people can put up a valid fight for. For example, I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, right? But, especially people of color, they want to throw up because, Quentin Tarantino is a big fan of the N-word, and, how many times he uses it in his movies and this, that, and the other. And if people want to throw their fists up at it and complain, all right, you got a point. I'm going to hear you there. I'm still a Quentin Tarantino fan, but as long as we allow things like that to propagate through the media, they're going to continue to be part of mainstream, and someone somewhere has to put a foot to it and say, we're not going to do it anymore. But Hamilton, right, to say that it just doesn't fit the culture of the time period and it should be taken down and people should be ashamed of themselves, I'm like, it's entertainment. And it wasn't even close to being what I would term as inappropriate. Inaccurate? Sure. Did they leave some stuff out? Absolutely. Freedom license to lift up a person named Alexander Hamilton, who we all know who he is, but unless you're a historian, most people probably wouldn't be able to tell you anything about him, right? He wasn't George Washington. He was George Washington's right-hand man. You know how I learned that? Watching Hamilton, right?
Right.
He wasn't, I knew more about Burr than I did about Hamilton. He wasn't a president. He wasn't, I knew Burr killed somebody, but couldn't remember who it was. You know how I figured out who it was? I watched Hamilton, right? And so you look back at all of that and you say it's entertainment. And it's not only just entertainment, it's excellent entertainment. There's nothing about the show that I would consider offensive. And if people want to say it's insensitive for the time frame and so forth and so on, I'm like, you got to have a horse to ride on. Go ahead and ride that one, see how far it gets you.
But they're late. They're late. Hamilton has been out for 5 years. So it don't, just because you didn't drop the hundreds of dollars to go see it in the play, if you heard anything about it, all of the media and the people of influence knew exactly what the play was about. They were sitting in those seats and watching it and writing fabulous reviews on it, right? And so don't turn around 5 years later and because Disney has it on and say, well, I'm offended by it. You're late to the game. Right. And so it's been out there. They didn't put in anything new. It didn't change at all.
Well, let me put it like this. And again, I'm not defending it, but I'm just saying I understand their point of why they feel the inappropriateness. So in, what was it, 97, we were in Atlantic City. That's all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I think we lost a whole lot of money in Trump Plaza, and then we went and won it back at one of the neighboring casinos. But if
Wait. Before we go too far, we went there. We went there after we finished high school too. I mean,
yeah, but we weren't gambling when we finished high school.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When me and you just went, right?
Yeah.
So, had I been in Trump Plaza and I'd been walking around in 1997 and they had like a black shirt with some gold writing and it had Trump across it, and I liked the shirt, I might have bought it and rocked it, right? Because it's just a cool shirt. And what's wrong with Trump? He's a billionaire, he got a cool little casinos around and this, that, and the other. And let's say I own that shirt, right? It'd be one thing to rock that shirt in 1997. He'd be like, all right, whatever. It'd be another to rock it in 2017, 2019, 2020. Let me go in my drawer and pull this shirt out. Oh yeah, I'm about to rock a Trump shirt, right? When I bought it, what it represented is just a cool shirt and it happened to be staying in the hotel. If I wore it today, I'm a Trump supporter.
Hey man, I like how you brought this podcast full circle, because we open up about symbolism and what that would look like, right?
Most of the comments I hear about brothers from the 818 is, man, what can't you guys talk about? Because I feel like we don't have to be read up. We gonna have an opinion about it. It's not a judgmental stance, but we can just rap about anything. I appreciate you for that, man. I'm glad to have you in my life.
Hey, brother, thank you for that, man. I want to say, I think that we could probably take on just about any topic. It doesn't mean that it'll be a well thought out, educated response, but we have an opinion just about anything, man. And I've come to you for many times for counsel, all right? And I know that you will try to steer me in the right direction, even if you don't have the right words, right? If you're like, hey, man, this might be tough, man. I'm gonna pray on that. But I appreciate our brotherhood, man. I hope that what people are seeing in regards to our energy, how well we feed off of each other, it's because we've have 37 years. And I hope that when we continue to bring on new challenging discussions and bring on new guests, that they will realize that we're just chopping it up, man. We're just doing what we would normally do on any phone call. We're just doing it live.
Right. So speak of chopping it up, before we get up on out of here, what you listening to? What's going on? What's been in your ears this week?
There's some profanity, man. I don't know if I could get into it, man. We don't do profanity on the Brothers A1A. But people that, I don't even know, man. You gave me too much time. And so I was pulling it up, the lyrics. And it's ninjas you love to hate, right? And I love the opening line of Ice Cube. Payback's a mother, right? You can't even get through Ice Cube. You can't even get through like 3 words of Ice Cube's of lyrics, right? And I'm sick and tired of being treated like a stepchild, right? No, you can't say that next word because I ain't him, right? All right. So next time I'm not gonna choose Ice Cube, but I was listening to Public Enemy and the BET Awards, and the Public Enemy had a remix of Fight the Power. I know Public Enemy dropped a new album, and I got that Public Enemy led me to Ice Cube, and that opening line from Ninjas You Love to Hate, man, always gets me going. So that's what I'm listening to. How about you, Dave?
2 things. I pulled out the Hamilton soundtrack, man. I just, some of them.
It's a good soundtrack, man.
Yeah, man. Some of them just. I wish I had been listening to it long enough to quote you some stuff, but I just can't. But the soundtrack is nice, man. And I wish I could think of which one it is, but he reminded me of Busta Rhymes, because even in the show he was brah, 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 and so I was cracking up. But the one, I pulled something out the crates this week, and it ain't deep, dark crates, but after I found out Kanye was running for office, I pulled out Ninjas in Paris. Now, how you gonna run for office and they'd be like, so back in 2000, whatever, you and Jay-Z came out with this song, Ninjas in Paris. And generally I listen to the remix, right? Like What's in My Car is the remix, and it has T.I., he opens it up, and then it jumps into Jay-Z and then Kanye. But, just it's the chorus is, well, not the chorus, but the loop or the kick is Ball So Hard, right? And
Ball So Hard, yeah.
And so they throw the loop and then rap the next word. Throw the loop and then rap the next verse. Right. Throw the loop and it's Ball So Hard, blah 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 blah. Ball So Hard, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, the way they put it together, it has a synergy that just makes you bob your head, right? Because that's what we do when we hear that type of thing. But I immediately begin to think, man, Kanye, you're going to get all kind of questions. If you get up in front of there, they're going to be like, let's talk about, Ball So Hard. Let's talk about your references to Jesus Christ. Let's talk about your relationship with this person and that person and that person. And let's not bring up your wife's sex tape with Ray J. Let's talk about that too. But it was just interesting. So Ninjas in Paris hit me, and I'm laughing because both of the things we was listening to had to do with some stuff we can't even talk about.
Kanye needs to run for some local government first, man. Work his way up, man. He can't start at the president of the United States, man. That's my opinion.
Yo, Kanye, if you're watching the show and you want to come on and defend yourself, come on, brother. We'll give you a platform and you can say what you want to say.
Bring Jay-Z, man. I ain't doing it with your content without Jay-Z.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So look here, people. This is about the end of our time together. We definitely appreciate you spending some time with me and my man Ace, with the brothers from the 818 tonight. We just we wanted to do a hot topic. So what's going on, and just to take a quick look at what's happening in the world today, and share our thoughts on what's happening. So Caleb, what you want to say about that?
I will just, thank you for giving me the opportunity to just kind of summarize my thoughts. My thoughts are, your votes count, your opinions matter. And so don't take either one of them lightly. If someone asks you your opinion, go ahead and try to be educated and formulate a intellectual or smart response. And then if you are of voting age and you have you haven't lost your right to vote because of some criminal behavior or something like that, go out there and make your vote count. We're going to continue to have this conversation all the way up to the election. But it's really important. If you don't like the direction that we're going in as a country, if you think Tricky Joe, what does Donald Trump call him? Sleepy Joe, will do a better job than Donald Trump, then vote for Donald. If you like what you see right now from our president, then by all means, this is a democracy. Go ahead and vote for Donald Trump to represent us for another 4 years.
Enough said, man. I got nothing to follow up with that. So from the brothers in the 818, if you have any feedback, if you want us to talk about anything, if you're thinking, hey, I'd be the perfect guest for your show, hit us up, brothersfromthe818@gmail.com. I will reply and we'll let you know. And if it works out, we would love to come on and talk to you. You can check out this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and any number of another 8 or 9 different streaming services. We're on YouTube, where you're probably watching this right now. We promise you real and raw conversation, unscripted always. Just brothers from Pacoima, California, 91331. Keep
Right.
it real with you. And that's what we'll keep doing. You keep showing up, and so will we. On behalf of Brothers from the 818, much love, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Peace.